Man, I ain't left a movie so disappointed since I saw Atlas on Netflix. Welcome back, y'all, to the DeAndre Way. Appreciate you for making your way to the channel. If you ain't subscribed, make sure you subscribe below, and we gonna get right into it, y'all. We ain't gonna waste no more time. Today, we watched the movie Trigger Warning on Netflix. It just came out a few days ago. I'm a few days late to the party, starring the beautiful Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba, she was in one of my favorite movies of all time, Honey. If you ain't seen Honey, then you missing out. Go check it out. She, was in Fantastic Four, the first one of my favorite ones, and The Silver Surfer. So I liked all that. I was in the movie theater seeing her a lot growing up. I ain't seen her in a minute though, but those are two of my favorite movies she was in. The rest of the movies that she's done, I'm not really into like that, but I saw Jessica Alba and I was like, okay, let's do it. She fine. She down with the cause. She kind of Latina. So she checking all the boxes for a box office hit, you would think. But nah, this movie was atrocious, y'all. I'm sorry. I mean, look, the plot really was kind of blah. The action scenes was kind of cool. I like good action scenes, and they did a good job, except for the fast forwarding part of the action scenes. They could have just kept it regular. I like the choreo, the fight choreo. Now the fighting itself, when it came to like her being Wonder Woman and able to take on three guys at once, come on, coach, that's cap. Um, the fighting scenes that I'm real fond of in memory is like if you've seen The Matrix and Neo's fighting against all the Smiths. But that's a dystopian future world, and he has powers. Same when it comes to something, I guess, fighting like you know bad boys to an extent, but they keep it realistic and legit. Same with Rush Hour too. Those fighting scenes. Jackie Chan is one of the best trained martial artists in the world, so there's reason he's able to get out of what he gets out of. So those are understandable. But this, they try to make it like realistic. And when you make things realistic, you got to keep it realistic, not keep in Fantasyland where this woman has like Laura Croft Tomb Raider skills and be able to take on a pack of wolves all on her own and just leave a little bit bruised up. Come on, coach. Like it was just a little far fetched for me with the fight, with the outcomes of the fighting scenes. Wasn't buying it. But and then the movie like itself, their stakes weren't that high. I feel like at times I found myself watching this kind of yawning, kind of a little bit lost to an extent, with random fighting scenes popping up out of nowhere. Some of the effects are cool, like the burning house. I did like that. It kind of reminded me of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows when Harry's leaving the Slytherin. I believe it's a Slytherin hangout spot, whatever, and the fire happens, and one of the Slytherin henchmen falls into the fire. The same exact thing kind of happened in this movie to where old boy falls in the fire, and I was like, did they steal that from Harry Potter? Um, Kind of gave me Mad Max vibes with the whole grungy look. At the beginning, I was kind of thrown off because she was in this truck that got blown over, and she didn't have a scrape really, and she was able to hide somehow and then sneak up on dude and kill dude and get away. It was just giving me like, oh, he went that way, and the bad guys run that way, and then they were fooled by just somebody telling them he was that way. Like, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But we gonna get into this movie, y'all. The plot. We gonna get through this because it wasn't my favorite. I mean, they said it was a female-led cross between First Blood and John Wick. I don't know about all that. Um, John Wick, come on now. Let's lower our expectations a little bit. And I get they trying to do this whole like he male thing, like superhero thing going on with a lot of movies lately. I'm down for the cause, but just make it realistic, please. Especially if it's a realistic show. Like the Atlas with J Lo, that was dystopian future. So I'm not taking that for literally like what it is. Like it's not stuff that doesn't exist. All this stuff that they had in this movie is real and it's like modern day. So but everything was just kind of just out of whack to me. couldn't really relate to none of the characters. They all I got kept getting them confused and whatnot. She has like the boyfriend who's she's way out of her league or whatnot, and it just wasn't adding up. But we gonna get into it, y'all. We got the cast: Jessica Alba as Parker, traumatized active duty special forces commando, and she's special forces commando, but come on now, some of these moves and the way she was getting out of these things and the domestic violence behind her, I was like, Jesus, but it was just cap. Anthony Michael Hall is Senator Ezekiel Swan, a powerful politician. Didn't care for him too much. Mark Webber as Sheriff Jesse Swan, Ezekiel's eldest son, and Parker's former boyfriend. So we got some like love issues going on. Um, Jake Weary is Elvis Swan, Ezekiel's youngest son, Jesse's hot-tempered brother and arms dealer. They kind of kept like, I guess it was good that they played brothers because I kept getting them confused. I guess not confused, but just it was a bunch of white dudes in power running around trying to kill this girl. That's just kind of like what I took of it. But watching just as a casual, like I was watching, I was trying to watch intently, but I just kept getting lost and like trying to figure out what's really going down. Um, Tone Bell is Spider, a covert ops specialist and hacker, and everyone else is kind of just like what. Oh, Gabriel is important as Mike, a weed producer and Parker's friend. That's who kind of saves her. Kawhi Lee Lyman is Ghost. Uh, Harry Dillon, Harry Dillon is Muhammad Mo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So everyone else is whatever. But we gonna get into the plot real quick. So I'm gonna pull this up actually, y'all. We gonna read this together off the very exclusive site called Wikipedia, and we gonna get down to the crucifix and the crux of what actually is going down in this show because a lot of it honestly was just not popping. But we up here, y'all. We up here. I'm on the wrong site. Let's get back. There we go. So, in the town of Creation, the Swan family are involved in illegal arms trading and leverage their influence in the town to cover themselves. Okay. Ezekiel Swan is the senator, Jesse is the sheriff, and Elvis is the arms dealer. So the whole family got power and whatnot. Kind of like some political things we got going on today, or will have, I guess, and have had in the past. Elvis has been using Harry's mind to take weapons from a military depot. They managed to access an underground tunnel and start secretly funneling weapons out to sell them to arms dealers. When Harry finds out, he's killed, and they blame it on a mind collapse. Things get complicated when Jesse calls Harry's daughter Parker and informs her of Harry's accidental death, motivating her to come home. So she finds out her pops has passed away due to this coup, this setup. I mean, dude got, bamboozled, and she got to go home and figure out what's popping. I mean, that part makes perfect sense. It just, I needed some more flashbacks to kind of get like the full story of everything because just them explaining it themselves wasn't clear enough to put it all together without flashbacks because they go over this stuff kind of quick. I'm not going to cap. Either I'm slow or they going over pretty quick. The arms dealers, like they're in this town and it's like not a big town, so everyone knows each other essentially. And they start funneling weapons out to sell them. Her dad's trying to like, do the right thing, but low key maybe he should have stayed in his own business. I get it. She's trying to get like back. She's trying to find out what happened to her dad, and she wants eventually gets vengeance, but just a weak plot. Just a kind of a weak plot. The stakes are very like he's dead already, and you want justice. That's it. That's the plot right there. That's the plot. I mean, there's nothing more to be say about that except it kind of. I feel like it was missing a few things. Just empty for what they trying to give with all this action and this explosives. I mean, they had everything from machine guns to blades to knives to a damn uh, whatchamacallit, a bazooka. It was a lot going on, and they did the budget out with the guns. Like they wanted the action scenes and the guns. Those are the two things that they was really going head over heels for when it came to this and where the money was really spent. We gonna continue. A highly skilled military combatant and investigator, Parker begins to notice Elvis' use of machine guns and people snooping into her family property. Elvis's men are caught. And there was a scene where she was sneaking them, watching them like practice the guns, and that scene was weird because they were just shooting all over the place. Like they had the targets, but they weren't shooting the targets. They were just shooting wildly into the trees and whatnot. And I was like, what the hell? That was just like, bruh, like, come on now. Y'all couldn't have just been like that part. I mean, there's a lot of little things that could have been taken out, but it was kind of pointless because she did that and ran off, and then that was it pretty much. But I guess she was just spying on them and just show like the dramatics of the scene and whatnot. Um, uh, and I'll say this too: a lot of people are harping on Jessica Alba, like she's not a good actress. Look, she's fine, and I think because she's fine makes it fine as well. You know, she does as fine as a job as I think she could have did. Like I'm not harping on her like performance and whatnot. I think it was good, but and they should have. I just think she didn't have like all the tools around her to like really like this role because one like the story kind of like what she had to work with the script and everything else. So I ain't harping on her too much. I like Jessica Alba. She, you know, doesn't hurt to put a pretty face up on there as a main character and kind of take care and take the reins of things. I just think they needed to like give her a break because she's in every single scene. And when you revolve a story all around one character and no other character really gets development like that, then it kind of it falls on her shoulders. But this type of movie, it just we needed to figure out everything that was going on, and we knew what's up with her, but it was just a little overkill when it came to that. I think the best stories have multiple characters and multiple layers, and she was the only one with layers pretty much in this whole entire thing. It seemed like, but we'll continue. Parker begins to notice Elvis' use of machine guns. Blah, blah, blah. Elvis' men are caught trespassing Harry's cave, and Parker takes action. His henchmen later burn Harry's bar Maria's to the ground. So that's what I was talking about with the whole Harry Potter, ironically looking alike fire scene, to where this whole bar gets torn up. I mean, even the lizard almost dies. Pretty dramatic. I mean, it was just all of a sudden, you know, she finds someone in the bar sneaking around, and then next thing you know, the bar is being burned to the ground. A little excessive, but crazy. Parker gives chase and attacks the air arsonist, but ends up arrested. So that didn't make sense to me because they burn the bar to the ground. She tries to do the right thing, but then she ends up getting arrested, which obviously why? Because you know they're crooks, and the guys in charge are crooked cops essentially. But it was just like, oh dang, like they really setting her up. In jail, Parker realizes Jesse and the whole Swan family are connected to her father's death. The Swans realize they can't let Parker go as she knows too much, so they try to beat her into compliance. Now, this part was crazy. I wasn't expecting domestic this much domestic violence in this movie. I mean, they was going ham, and this movie was taking another turn than I thought it would. It was a lot because then she ends up getting tortured, not tortured, well, beat up a lot, and she still has the energy to take on three dudes at once. And the way kind of like the sheriff kind of like doesn't go after her was just kind of weird. Like he kind of just stood there while she was tearing him up. Very weird to me. But yeah, she gets out of there, and they they try to beat her to death. However, she resists interrogation and delays long enough to escape her cuffs. She gets out the cuffs somehow. We don't even really see how she gets out the cuffs. Takes Ezekiel as hostage in the process. Parker manages to escape by taking a police cruiser, but she succumbs to her injuries and crashes. That's okay. They're making the realism part of her like getting fatigued finally after her battery is like on E and she's still going. So I was like, what happened? But then it's like, oh, she got that tired, and then she gets rescued by Mike, her friend, and she hides and does her whole Dragon Ball Z Goku recovery for 3 days and 3 nights and gets the sensu beans, and she's back like all full health bars all the way to the top. And Parker's eager for payback and collects enough weapons to wage war. So it's a one woman show at this point. I mean, she's going by herself trying to take on these dudes. And the dude had like a weed store growth, a whole bunch of weed plants in his house, which was basically pointless. I didn't see the point of having that. It didn't do anything for the show movie. It didn't add to the story at all. It didn't. There was nothing for that. Like another pointless scene. And the thing is, this movie kind of drags on. It's about an hour 45, I think. It could have easily been an hour 25. They could have shed 30 minutes off with some of these like kind of corny jokes and uh, just extra scenes and stuff that really didn't even need to be there. Like I thought the weed was gonna lead to something like, oh, like I sold all this weed, we got the money, we gonna bring some people in here, we gonna get it popping, but or we can move to a different house and get up out of here. Like I don't know, but it didn't do anything. Like it just was just, oh, here's a bunch of weed that we grow. No point to it. We just growing some weed. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. We'll continue. Meanwhile, Ghost Mercenary has paid the Swans money in advance for those weapons, and they aren't delivered. When pressed on the matter, Ezekiel admits he already spent the money on his re-election campaign. She infiltrates the Swan compound and confronts Ezekiel after getting answers for what happened to her father before killing him. So she gets her justice one at a time. At the mine, she fights and kills Elvis by knife combat. So she going ham. I mean, she going whole, like, by any means necessary what it takes. She's pulling out the knives, doing the karate kicks, doing the taekwondo. She got every trick up her sleeve in this moment. And you have a juggernaut of a character like this, it kind of can be a little boring when it's repetitive enough because she didn't really lose one fight for real, for real. I not that I can really recall. The only time she got beat up was when she was like in prison and they like, she really couldn't do anything. That was the only time. But even then, she won that too. So like, I think to make this a little more interesting, maybe lost. Maybe had someone else come in the picture and help her out that also was an op specialist, so it could be two of them. But her just having this overwhelming power and being able to whoop all these dudes down, no problem, essentially, was kind of just like eh, unrealistic. And it's not sci-fi. This is like a kind of real action movie. This is not. So when it's that kind of movie, I'm like, I'm taking it as it is. I mean, even Jackie Chan lost some fights. So, but yes, friends of Parker and Harry arrive to help Parker see her mission through and discover the military depot exit. So they help her, and this dude, I forget who it is, but he gets covered up. The black dude, the one black dude in the movie, he gets covered up by the rocks. They all just leave him and leave the one lady to dig up the rocks to get him out. What? She's like, we gotta hurry, we gotta hurry. I'm like, is there a rush? What's the rush? I'm confused. I was confused on that part. She's like, we gotta hurry, we gotta hurry. But you gonna let this dude under these rocks while he's pretty much gonna die if he doesn't get out soon enough because he's being crushed, and you gonna leave the probably weakest woman there to help him out. Y'all just gonna dip. I'm like, that's how y'all gonna treat the brother in the movie. Y'all gonna stomp him out with the rocks and then not help him out. Gotcha, gotcha. Friends. Yes, we got that. Parker sees Jesse arrives with a grenade in his hand, desperate to take control of the situation. Parker offers to help him, but he realizes there's no happy ending for him, and he shoves her away before blowing himself up. With the Swan family dead, Parker's able to move on with her life. That's literally how it ends. She's able to move on with her life. Yo, it's like they just forgot. They ran out of things. They're like, we don't know what the ending gonna be, so we gonna leave it this cliffhanger in hopes we get a second movie. I don't even know what to say, y'all. I mean, even Atlas had like a decent ending to it, better than this. And I was not a big fan of Atlas. If you ain't seen my Atlas review, go check it out. But this whole story just does not make really any sense. It seems like kind of just a pointless tale to be told. No morals except she gets the guys that got her father. So I guess she extracted her revenge. But is that the moral to the story? I don't get it because the dude said it says at least says he realizes he has no happy ending for himself and shoves her away for blowing himself up. That was kind of like lazy to me. Like you're just gonna kill yourself after all this. That's what you're gonna do. Whew, y'all. That's some time I won't get back. But hey, we did it. Check it out. See it for yourself. Maybe you might like it. It's very serious. I need a little more comedy for me. This action film being kind of goofy in itself, but they take this movie very serious. There's no real like half-heartedness in this. And yeah, y'all, that's my take on Atlas. I think it was a lot left to be received. I'm losing my saying, but a lot more left on the table. I think that could have been there. And I would give this movie probably a three. Look, I'm gonna give it a three. I'll say four because Jessica Alba. I like Jessica Alba. That's just me. Like Jessica Alba did her thing. I don't care what nobody says. She did the best she could do with what she was given. And everybody, all the actors, like I did fine, I guess. No, the actors did fine to me, but just the storyline just didn't make any sense, and it was just pointless, and it just didn't go anywhere. I don't know, y'all. It's number one on Netflix right now, but it's because there ain't really much on Netflix right now. I see much whole but kids movies, a whole bunch of kids movies in the top 10. So that tells you anything. I guess that's June in Netflix. So, but yeah, y'all appreciate y'all for joining me with this trigger warning recap, and you're gonna need a warning before watching this one. But yeah, till the next one, y'all. We out of here. Peace, blessings, deuces, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.